The Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail. It's a project I've been working on for a while now. The past couple weeks, trying to video it step by step. That way, you know everything you'll see, everything you'll encounter along the way. Um, Again, it's about a 70-mile trail from Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania to Seward, Pennsylvania. It's got a lot of single track, little bit of double mixed in. There's a bunch of road crossings. There's even a couple highway crossings. If you're doing the whole thing, there's a couple shelter areas if you want to stay overnight. If you're going to do a hike, do it over a couple of days. There's a race on it in June every year called the Laurel Highlands Ultra. There's a 50K and the full 70-miler. Both are good times. But the trail itself, I live near the end in Seward, probably about 5 minutes away. So it's one of my favorite trails to practice on, train on, whatever, just to have a good time on in general. There's a lot of good views, a lot of things to see along the trail. I would say it's a good mix of hills, wilderness, state park, stuff like that. You even go through Seven Springs at one point. You pass a graveyard, pass a little lake. There's like 5 major parking lots, like Maple Summit, 653, Route 31, Route 30, 271. Those are your 5 major parking areas. Then, of course, Ohiopyle, where you start at, and then in Seward as well. Nice parking lot there. So, well, you have 7 if you include the start and finish. Each mile is marked with, I guess, like a delineator, this little looking thing on my shirt here. This is from the Laurel Highlands Ultra a couple years ago. It's actually a pretty nice, comfortable shirt. But either way, things look like this with the mile markers on them. So from 0 to 70. I will say this. Even though it's advertised as 70 miles right now, it's probably closer to 67 and a half to 68. At least that's what you're going to get in a GPS watch, unless you go off trail a little bit to pee or go to the bathroom, or if you're going to, take a connector trail or go to visit the shoulders, you're not going to get a full 70 miles, just because over the years the trail has expanded and de-expanded, or whatever the word is, contracted, I guess is a good word. For a while there was actually like 76 miles. Just because of construction and stuff like that, the trails got changed over the years. So right now, we're gonna call it 67 and a half to 68 miles with 11,300 feet of gain, give or take a couple hundred, depending on what your watch picks up. First, I would say the first half of the trail is a lot harder than the second half. Well, actually, basically, once you get past 19 miles, it gets way easier than the first 19. There's a section called Gate to 8, which is basically in Ohiopyle, there's a gate that you go across, and then the first 8 miles is, I wouldn't say pretty much all uphill, because you're not going uphill the whole way, but it's got a bulk of the elevation in it. Like 3 really good climbs, especially in that like 6 to 7.5 range. There's your like steepest, really hard part. It's like a whole long like mile uphill section. I think it's 12 or 1,300 feet offhand. Even like the first like mile and a half in, you got a really nice climb up to a view. A lot of different terrain. Again, you're gonna hit some rocky sections. You're gonna hit some nice runnable single track. Some rocky downhill more towards Seward. Just a good mix of wilderness and different things. A lot of different areas if you would like, I wouldn't say cut off the trail, but you can get to like Beams Rocks. Nice little place to visit. You can see a couple views. There's definitely a handful of views along the trail that you could stop and maybe move like 50 yards off the trail to get a nice view, or take some cool pictures. You run through a couple Laurel trails, where like the Mountain Laurel like encompasses like the whole trail, and you run through it. They're not really long, maybe like 30 yards or something like that. Up in Seward, there's a couple power lines that you can see pretty good. Again, you run through Seven Springs, so you run it like basically across the top of the ski slopes. Just stuff like that. Even run across the Pennsylvania Turnpike. That's like really the only really well-built bridge on the trail, because it actually goes above the turnpike. But there's a lot of little trails that go across like little streams and creeks. You're probably going to run into, oh man, we'll just say like 70 to 80 during the whole 70 miles. Some are more frequent, some you won't. Like the last 5 miles, you really don't have any at all. There's also a really good view at mile 67-ish of Johnstown. You could see basically the whole downtown Johnstown, the whole way up the mountain. You could even see like where the Galleria Mall is and Lowe's and Home Depot, up that area. You can basically see like the whole city from the one view, about, again, 67 in, give or take. Well, I always call it 3 miles from Seward. So whatever it is coming back out, or if you're going from Ohiopyle, it's going to be a little bit shorter. You really notice that like last mile is really short. Even in Ohiopyle, if you start at the gate, you go up a couple tenths before you hit mile 0. But then once you hit mile 0 and you start up the little climb, you only got like 6 tenths of the mile marker 1. That's probably more done for vandalism and somebody doesn't steal it all the time. I mean, that would be my guess, for the purpose of the mile 0 and mile 1 to be a little bit shorter. Also, from the gate to that mile 0, it's a little bit more of like an access road, those couple tenths before you actually start hitting like real trail. So maybe they just put it there because that's the start of the actual real trail. Like for the ultra, you actually start over by the falls and get those couple tenths in before you hit that gate and then get the mile 0. But yeah, it's a project I've been working on for a while now, wanting to showcase the area a little bit more, show people what the trail's about, because in the Laurel Highlands Ultra group, or the Laurel Trail and Ultra groups, even some of the PA hiking trails, people always ask, oh, what's the trail like? What's this section like? How do I get here? Stuff like that. So living close, I took it upon myself over the last couple weeks to go out there and video it step by step. Broke it up into sections, generally 3 to 4 miles. Really don't think there's anything under 3 miles in a video, except for like the connector trails, like to the parking lots. Those are only a couple tenths, but the main trail branch of the trail is broken up into 3 or 4 mile sections, give or take, again, a couple tenths. So like if I'm doing a 4 mile video, but then I come to like a parking lot connection, I stop it there, say maybe 3.5 or 3.1, because it's a good stopping point. And then I, show you the parking lot. And then when I come back, I start the video again at that parking lot intersection, and then try to film out like 4 miles. Plus the GoPro only lasts like 45 to 50 minutes while you're running. So I'm sort of limited to 4 mile clips at a time. I try to explain the elevation as we go in each of those 4 mile clips. So when I start a 4 mile clip, we'll say 15 to 19, for instance. Like when I hit that mile, when I start the video at mile 15, that's 0 for elevation. And then when I hit 16, I'll look at my watch real quick, say, hey, this is how much ascent, this is how much descent you got for this mile. And then I continue on for that for that 4 mile section of video, and I tell you at the end, so that way if you're running, you could piece it together, clip by clip. Except for maybe like the last 10 miles, that's when I started filming, so I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. So like from 271 to Seward, maybe down the road I'll re-video it, but I think I tried to get a cumulative elevation gain from 271 to 70. So mile 57 to 70, it's more cumulative instead of like mile 0 to 57. Since I didn't do them all one time, my mindset might have been a little bit different each video at how to do them, but they're generally the same. Once in a while I do give you a little, hey, this is where this is at, this is where this is at, hey, take a quick look at this, whatnot. stuff like that, or try to explain it. You're going to hear a lot of heavy breathing. Definitely running a little bit, well, not running full tilt, but trying to video it, concentrate, not trying to trip on video. You know, I've stubbed my toe a bunch, burped a lot, farted a lot. Yeah, it took a lot more effort, and it was a lot harder to try to video it and concentrate, not tripping and paying attention to what I'm doing, than actually just running the trail itself and like training or the ultra. So it was a little bit more difficult. And then some of the miles, we'll say from 0 to 11, I picked some really hot days to do those videos, so I was really dying. So bear with me if you hear me panning or complaining a lot. I really don't complain too much per se, but it does happen. If you have any questions, please ask. Send me a message. Please share these videos with everybody. Trying to get the word out how nice the trail is. Get some more pub for it. Maybe drum up some more business for the local businesses. And then remember to subscribe to my YouTube and my other social media pages on Only Athletics. Help me grow, get the word out so I can keep making these videos. So if you like the videos, please like them. And again, share them with your friends. Tell people about them. That way they view them. And I could do a lot more stuff down the road like this. I want to hit some more trails. Maybe this fall, like some bigger trails, or even start to plan next spring and summer, different trails I could hit that people were interested in seeing. But other than that, PA is an awesome place to visit. This trail, the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail, is an awesome trail to visit if you're a through hiker, or if you just want to break it up into sections. Like again, there's 5 parking lots in the middle, plus the 2 at the end. There's 7 parking lots that you have access to. You can break those sections up pretty good. So you're not doing like 30-mile days in between sections, that you have to get to, or doing out and backs. You could actually, if you have a friend, a family member that could drop you off at one, and, your vehicle at one, and then they could drop you off at a starting point. That's really cool to do as well. Again, there's a lot of shelters that you can camp if you're a through hiker, or if you just want to camp for the night. Pick a good section that you think it looks cool, that you want to walk, hike, rock, whatever, on and visit. That's another reason why I did these. So if you just want to come and visit the area and pick a nice section of trail, you watch the videos of it. Maybe you want to camp with your kids, or take a Boy Scout camp, or a Boy Scout group, Girl Scout group, whatever all these clubs' names are. Have an overnight hike. That way you can pick a section that looks really cool to you guys, and stay at a shelter, then continue on the next day to a new section, or walk back out. So just a good way to showcase the trail. Again, goes through actually 6 or 7, I think, state parks. Of course, Ohiopyle, Laurel Summit, Lynn Run, like Laurel Mountain, Cruiser or something maybe. I forget all the state parks that you actually go through in this 70 miles. They're sort of all interconnected weaving, so I always get them confused which one's which. So I might have named one that you actually don't step foot in, but either way, good way to get your PA passport stamp too after you visit. You do the whole 70 miles and say you visit some of the trails in the area. Plus, it's a good starting point to just experience the area as well. Not only is the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail really good, but we have a ton of different trails in this area that you can come and visit throughout the different state parks, or just trails itself. So maybe get you interested in exploring a little bit more. There has to be 1,000 miles of different trails in the different state parks that you just like run through during the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail, and even a little bit farther out, like through the DCNR state parks and stuff like that. But again, check them out. I hope you like the videos. If not, I'm sorry. Maybe if you give me a tip or something, I could try to redo them, but it's probably not going to happen because it took a long time to do this. Guess that's about it. Again, just share and subscribe, and I hope you like them.